Hey everybody, welcome back to Bethenaeum. My name's Ellie Marie and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my NaNoWriMo schedule. Alright, so it's November, which means it is time for NaNoWriMo, and I thought just briefly before the month really gets up and rolling that I would go over a little bit of my personal NaNoWriMo schedule in my writing, and to hopefully give you some ideas for how you can incorporate writing every day and writing extra every day into your schedule as well. So I have 3 tips for doing that. Let's go ahead and take a look at them. The first tip I have for incorporating writing more regularly and specifically NaNoWriMo into your everyday schedule is to make time for writing. And I know that that seems to be super obvious, but in reality, that's how Nano is. You have to consciously make the time. If you keep a calendar, put it in your calendar. If you make blocks of time for yourself, make sure you make one to write. You have to make sure you are scheduling that time to write. You can't just be like, oh, I'll write at some point today. No, you've got to make that time to really write, because this is 50,000 words in 30 days, guys. This is a lot of writing. So you really have to make sure you have it in your schedule. So set time for it, specifically for writing your Nano project. All right, and tip number 2 seems to be kind of a contradiction to our first tip, but that is to make time for fun stuff. And that seems kind of silly, but the truth is, if you spend all of your free time in Nano writing your Nano project, you're going to burn out in the first week, the second week. You're not going to make it all the way through. So make sure you make time for you stuff, for stuff that you want to do. For me, this looks like making time for my other writing projects. Last year, I found that when I spent all of my time allotted for writing, specifically on my Nano project, and I wasn't working on anything else, I got burnt out really fast on my Nano project because I spent all my time thinking about these other projects that I wanted to work on, but I couldn't put time towards. And in the end, I stopped writing my Nano project because I didn't make the time to focus on other things that were important in my life and that I wanted to do. And instead, I just focused solely on my Nano project, and it really ended up killing Nano for me last year. So this year, I have improvised by having set time for Nano and set time for writing other projects. And if I find myself not really wanting to engage in those other projects and finding that Nano is enough writing time for me, then I can either use that other time to continue working on my Nano project or to do something else that I want to do, like play a video game or read a book or spend some time with a friend and watch some TV. So make sure that you set that time aside to do something that's not just your Nano project all the time. And my third tip is to be flexible. And I know that that kind of is in between those two of schedule and schedule. You got to be flexible. Sometimes you'll find that in life, especially because November has a holiday here in America, life does not go the way you schedule it, and you need to be able to be flexible. So if you didn't get out of bed in time and fit your writing in the morning, that's okay. Try to be flexible and find the time in the evening or on the weekend to catch up on your writing. Just take a breath and remember to be flexible. All right, and I know I promised that I would talk briefly about my personal Nano schedule, so I'm going to do that really quick. That's why I only had 3 tips instead of like 5, 6, or 7 like I normally do. So let's go ahead and touch on my personal Nano schedule. The way my writing schedule works before Nano and during a normal month is that I write pretty much every day anyway. And so for Nano, to really keep myself from getting burnt out on writing my Nano and not writing anything else, I have to schedule time specifically for my Nano project. And like I talked about just briefly earlier, I have time for my other projects set aside, my other writing works, and time for my Nano, which for me ultimately meant giving up sleep. I have to give up some of my sleep in the morning and get up a little bit earlier to have my time to write, or I have to give up something in the evening that I'd been doing, and I've had to do that just for 1 month. It's for 1 month, it's not a big deal. But I've forced myself to really carve out that time and find that time for my Nano project this year. And so really, in the spirit of being flexible, that is the most I have done this year for setting a schedule for myself. I'm really just focusing on writing. I'm just get in there, spend the time writing, and write. Last year I focused real heavily on word counts, and I decided that just for me it ended up being just a word count game, and that wasn't really what I wanted. I want to really focus on my work this year. So hopefully you will find something that works for you and will help you work your way through Nano, and I encourage you each to work on your projects and to get through them, and together we can do this. We can do this. Let's go do it. And that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed that and you can find some usefulness in those 3 tips. And as always, I'd like to take this moment to ask you to subscribe and ring that little bell so you can get updates, which are every Tuesday and Friday. And as always, thank you for stopping by, and I appreciate you. Bye.